Tottenham and Bayern Munich are at least £20 million apart in their valuation of Harry Kane, and Spurs also want a buyback clause. Yes, they do. Hi there you are. Hi, this is the Transfer Show. Harry Kane, not the only top striker in the news today. We also have the very latest on Kylian Mbappe and Victor Osimhen. Plus, we're with Luke Shaw in the US. And guess what's on his mind?
An out-and-out striker that, is what we need, and we're desperate for one. And I'm very sure that the club know that, the manager knows that, and us players would love one to come through.
Right, Harry Kane news. Paul Gilmore with us. Right, talk us through this. This seems significant.
Yeah, we know our colleagues in Sky Germany brought us those pictures earlier of the Bayern Munich delegation arriving, or certainly departing Munich. They were on the way to London for talks, this continuation of dialogue between Bayern Munich and Tottenham over a potential transfer of the England captain Harry Kane. Well, they had lunch today in central London and have continued talks into the afternoon. So the latest information is that there is still no agreement and that there is still a significant gap in valuation, believed to be at least £20 million. So those negotiations, we're told, are continuing and will continue with the Bayern Munich delegation in London. So we also know that Tottenham, if they do agree a fee for Harry Kane, Kane remains open to speaking formally to Bayern Munich should that deal be agreed between the clubs. And Tottenham, of course, obviously know the value of Harry Kane. Ideally, they would want him to sign a new contract at the club. He won't be doing that this summer, and that's why they're in this position of negotiating with Bayern Munich, because they fear him going to a rival club next summer. That's why there is an interest, I suppose, in if they can get a decent fee for him from Bayern Munich, that potentially there could be a deal done, and then it's over to Harry Kane and his decision. Bayern believe he's made that decision, that if a deal is agreed, he will go there. That's what they believe. But Tottenham know his value, and even if they can't get him to sign a new contract and he ends up moving to Bayern Munich, and there is a long way to go, so many things could still happen in this, I must stress, but if he does go to Bayern Munich, they would insist on a buyback clause if he returns to the Premier League in the future.
Paul, just picking up on what you said there with regard to a minimum of £20 million. I mean, you've covered transfer windows for years. When you come to a point where it's you're saying at least £20 million, does that sound like a figure that can be compromised on and potentially a deal can be done still?
That you've said the key word in all of this, and it is compromise. At the moment, the fact that all parties are still talking many weeks, months after the talks began, would suggest that they are still all confident that a deal can be done. Otherwise, everyone would walk away, or the party not happy would walk away. But it is getting to that stage, as we heard last week from sources, that it is about compromise. Somebody needs to compromise, and they're still working towards that. The fact that a delegation from Bayern Munich, of course, are in London. These latest round of talks are happening face to face. It has happened before, of course, and Bayern Munich officials went back to Germany without any sort of agreement and no progress was made. Well, this is the latest attempt at making that progress, and at the moment, who knows, because we're in that delicate stage where they could agree a deal, they could also fall apart like the last meeting and they go back without any agreement. But certainly the fact they're still talking is a sign that this is not completely, it hasn't completely gone away.
Ramesh, what do you make of the buyback clause? That seems significant to me, that they want him back if they sell him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how this would work, because if you're saying we want to insert a buyback clause to Bayern Munich if that deal is agreed, is there a compulsion for Harry Kane to come back to Tottenham if they make a bid for him?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Or is it still up to the player? Because when you hear of release clauses, a release clause, everyone thinks if someone meets the release clause, that means that player is going. No, it just means it gives that club the opportunity to talk to that player. This is not a release clause, this is a buyback clause. And first option. It's a first option, isn't it? It's almost one of those situations where if Harry Kane was to go back to the Premier League, then Tottenham would almost have first dibs on Harry Kane. But surely the decision is going to be left to Harry Kane, unless something that I've not heard before would be inserted in a contract whereby you have to come back to Tottenham if you
Your
want to come
view,
back to
Paul?
the Premier League.
I think you always have to be careful at this stage of a negotiation, because that's the kind of thing that you find out the real detail on. Tottenham may want something along those lines in any sort of deal, but that is very different from what actually happens whenever it gets to the latter stages of the deal, when it looks like that deal is actually going to be done. I must stress we're nowhere near, we're not near that point yet. So I think we always have to be careful with that type of information until maybe later in the deal when more details begin to emerge on that.
One thing I would say, if you look at the bottom right, 32 days left in this transfer window. We've got less than 2 weeks before Tottenham open their Premier League season. Surely Tottenham, given they are engaging in talks with Bayern Munich at this stage of the transfer window, they must be doing due diligence on potential replacements. Surely they have to be. Are there players that they're actually looking at? Are there players that they can actually just accelerate and sign if this deal is done? Furthermore, is there anything that they're negotiating with Bayern Munich, potentially with a player at Bayern Munich? Because that would help a negotiation if you're dealing with that one club with Harry Kane. So, I mean, you've got to think about what Ange Postecoglou's thinking in this whole scenario, with less than 2 weeks of the season to go, and his prize asset, his key striker, is involved, not him personally, but there are talks going on about his future. So he's none the wiser at the moment whether he's going to have him at the start of the season.
And he did say as recently as kind of a week and a half ago that it was something he was beginning to not get bored of, but something that it was beginning to affect preparations. So he did hint at that. I think that's something that any manager would like their squad to be perfectly ready in time for the Premier League season. It doesn't always work out that way. And Tottenham, not just in the striker situation, but centre-backs as well. I think that's been a frustration. But sometimes in transfer windows, it has to be about patience and time. These things can drag on. And there will be some clubs who, when they start the Premier League season, that it's not ideal. And I think Tottenham at the moment are maybe moving towards that, where they just haven't quite got the squad perfect.
Sure. But significant news, obviously. There's still at least £20 million apart, and Tottenham want first dibs on getting Harry Kane back if they sell him. That is significant. We will, of course, keep a very close eye on that. As I said earlier, Dharmesh, he's not the only striker that's in the news today. Victor Osimhen, this is another one that makes me smile because of the huge sums of money being talked about. For those who don't know, tell us.
Yeah, I mean, there's still an expectation in some quarters that Victor Osimhen will remain at Napoli. He's still got 2 years left on his Napoli contract. But Al Hilal, yes, the Saudi Pro League, rears its head again. They're trying everything they can to sign Victor Osimhen. And I'm told today that they've made an offer worth €140 million to Napoli for Victor Osimhen. It's thought Napoli would want more than €150 million, significantly more than €150 million to even contemplate or consider selling their prized asset. But look, we're told the wages on offer for Osimhen, wait for this, are in the region of £1 million per week.
It's astonishing.
£1 million per week. Now, Sky Italy have been reporting today that a meeting between Napoli and Osimhen's agents have taken place this week, but they failed to find a resolution over a potential new contract. Last month, it should be said this, Napoli president Aurelio De Laurentiis, the outspoken Aurelio De Laurentiis, he was asked about the progress of a new contract for Osimhen, and he said this: we have a basic agreement on a 2-year extension that would take him to 2027, but we are willing to consider an offer we could not refuse. So if Al Hilal start going significantly more than €150 million, I wonder whether that is the kind of ballpark figure where De Laurentiis will say this is the area that we cannot refuse. But as it stands, they haven't met the valuation that they'd consider selling Osimhen at, and they still want to keep him. So those talks are ongoing over a contract extension at Napoli. I spoke to Gianluca Di Marzio just before we came on air, and his feeling on this situation is that he thinks Osimhen will stay, and he still thinks that there is a dream for Osimhen to play in the Premier League. So potentially next summer to go to a Premier League team. He's at that age where he still probably does want to play Champions League football. He's just helped Napoli win the Serie A title. Premier League has been his dream. He's actually said that before. Saudi Arabia maybe is one of those deals that potentially could wait, because if the Saudi Pro League is going to hang around, they're still going to want to buy these players, be they 24 or 29 years of age, for example.
But £1 million
Yes.
a week. Astonishing.
Yeah.
Well, now look, Manchester United are another side looking for a striker. Dharmesh will give us an update on Rasmus Højlund in just a moment. First, though, we caught up with Luke Shaw during United's US tour, and he spoke about the club's transfer dealings and the aims for the new season.
To be successful, we need to be challenging for every trophy and, you know, winning competitions. We felt like we could have added another 2 competitions last season, and I think, you know, we should have. But I think now's, especially, you know, the start of this pre-season, we spoke about it a lot. I think this is a big season for us. We've already signed some very good players, and, you know, hopefully there's more additions to come to strengthen the squad. And, you know, of course, we have to believe that we can win as many trophies as possible this season. Last season we did some really good things, but, you know, we know what we needed to improve on, especially the away form. And I think it's something we'll definitely, you know, need to do better this season. And I think if we get that form right, then, you know, I'm sure we can be at the top of the table challenging. After working with the manager for last season, I think Mason is exactly the kind of player that he wants and needs around this place. Not just he brings presence on the pitch, but off the pitch around the place. He's a really good character and good for the team in that aspect. And yeah, of course, I think, like I said, hopefully there's a couple more to come. But I think this pre-season, you know, especially training, everyone's looking really good and ready to go.
You speak about signings being here already. As a player, does it make a difference to the squad when you know you can integrate with those new guys quicker over a pre-season?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's what's really good from our point of view, is the fact that, you know, we've managed to make a couple signings before the tour had even started. I think last season there was a couple players that, you know, didn't even come on the tour, and or maybe most of them really, that they come after the tour. So, you know, yeah, it was a lot different, and I think it's better for them as well. So, you know, it's a bit more team bonding. They can, you know, get to know the lads a bit more, because, you know, we're always together. So it's been really good, nice for the lads, really good guys, and, you know, amazing players that I'm sure that are going to push us in the right direction.
Onana is obviously quite a different keeper. How has it been adjusting to him, and what is actually different about what you need to do?
Yeah, of course, I think they're very different keepers. I think first and foremost, David for us last season was, and for the seasons he's been here, he was amazing. You know, I think a massive legend to this club. You know, won the Golden Glove last season, so, you know, we're obviously sad to see him go, but, you know, we wish him the best and hope, you know, it goes well from here on there. But I think with the new addition we have, I think he'll bring, you know, different qualities to what David had, and I think especially you'll see maybe a different side now with building up from the back, and, you know, that he brings a bit more composure to that, and I think he suits the exact way, like I said, that the manager wants. So yeah, I've been really impressive. Of course, we spoke, and I think the manager has, and I think Bruno did the other day, about how important it is for us to get a striker. We know that. Of course, we've got Martial and Rashford at the moment, and Sanch who can play there, but an out-and-out striker that, you know, is what we need, and we're desperate for one. And I'm very sure that the club know that, the manager knows that, and, you know, us players would love one to come to. What we have to demand this season is trophies, and, you know, for me, that's all that matters right now.
Well, Dharmesh, you said it. They're desperate for a striker. It's got to be close now, surely.
Very, very close. Define very, very narrow. This looks like this one is going to happen. Manchester United finalising a deal to sign Rasmus Højlund, as we've been reporting throughout the weekend, from Atalanta. United, we think, hope to have a medical done this week, and for Højlund to formalise a 5-year contract. That comes with a 1-year option, and they want all of that done, ideally, and potentially in time for him to play a part in one of Manchester United's pre-season friendlies that are remaining before the Premier League opener on the Monday Night Football against Wolves. They play twice this weekend. So you'd be thinking there'd be two different squads at each game. They've got Lens on Saturday and Athletic Bilbao on Sunday. Just a reminder of what this deal is worth. We remember that Atalanta wanted £77 million guaranteed payment from Manchester United. United did negotiate and managed to bring that down to an initial £64 million plus £8 million in performance-related add-ons. Now, as with the other deals that they've done in this transfer window with Andre Onana and Mason Mount, there has been performance-related add-ons in both of those deals as well. But my understanding is that if Manchester United end up paying the full whack for Andre Onana, Mason Mount and Rasmus Højlund when this deal gets done, I think they'll be delighted, simply because they'll have achieved all of these performance-related conditions that United and Atalanta have set out, be they goals, appearances, trophies. So United now very, very close. Who knows, a formal announcement may even be this week.
OK, all right, let's take a break. When we come back, we've been striker heavy, haven't we? We're going to stay with that. Kylian Mbappe, what's the latest on him? That's coming up, and we've got news from Chelsea as well. We'll see you in a moment. Transfer show and transfer news coming here all the time. Paul, you've got a line on Sadio Mane. What's happened?
Yeah, I do indeed. Our colleagues at Sky Germany have obtained an exclusive statement from Sadio Mane just addressing his departure, really, from Bayern Munich. This is what Sadio Mane has had to say. He says, leaving FC Bayern hurts me. I would have wished for a different ending. I know that I could have helped the team this season. I wanted to prove it to everyone this season. Nevertheless, I only wish the club and the fans the best for the future. So Sadio Mane addressing, I guess, the disappointment around his departure and the fact he didn't really make the impact required at the club. And of course, it does free up in terms of funds that could contribute towards a replacement striker, maybe someone from Tottenham.
Just an impact on Leroy Sané. Done.
Yeah, and just on Mane, we now expect that the move to Saudi Arabia to accelerate and to be confirmed sooner rather than later, because he's due to have a medical at Al Nassr. So this deal looks like it's going to get done. £24 million, the transfer fee involved, we're told, is worth. And the salary is more than the transfer fee. So it's actually £34 million in salary. So Sadio Mane saying his goodbyes to Bayern Munich and soon to be saying his hellos to Al Nassr.
I bet he will. D-Day for Kylian Mbappe. Tell us.
Yeah, we've had no word yet, but this is certainly an interesting deadline. Of course, Kylian Mbappe has until midnight tonight to trigger that option to extend his PSG contract by 1 year, taking him through until the summer of 2025. Now, PSG, they're 99.99% sure he will not take up the option in his contract. They're convinced he wants to join Real Madrid for free next summer when his contract ends. Of course, a terrible scenario for PSG, who want to clearly make some money on Kylian Mbappe if he does depart. So he's due a €60 million loyalty bonus if he does stay, and that's payable in installments.
Is that loyalty in inverted commas?
Loyalty if he stays on at PSG. Yeah, I mean,
for one more day.
For what? Yeah, exactly.
Tomorrow, isn't it?
Exactly. For one more day, it's payable in instalments, and that's something we're kind of waiting to hear any information on that, whether he is going to trigger that before this deadline tonight. We know he's already turned down a world record €300 million move to Al Hilal last week, and of course he was dropped from BSG's pre-season tour in amongst all of this and how it's playing out. They're not quite happy as a club. They're convinced he wants to join Real Madrid.
Indeed. Right. We're going to talk Chelsea, Dharmesh. I'm going to throw some names at you, OK? Sure. Moises Caicedo.
Right. I'm told no active talks at present between Chelsea and Brighton over the signing of Moises Caicedo, but clear he remains Chelsea's #1 target for the rest of this transfer window. And I'm told Chelsea will try their luck again and go back in with an improved offer. Their last bid was worth £80 million. That was rejected out of hand. Brighton valuing Moises Caicedo in the same way West Ham value Declan Rice, so they want closer to £100 million. As far as the player is concerned, we understand that Caicedo wants to make the move.
Romeo Lavia.
Yeah, this is getting interesting because Chelsea still hold a strong interest in the Southampton midfielder. Personal terms not expected to be a problem, as they're not expected to be a problem with Liverpool. Chelsea have not made a formal bid yet. Liverpool, they're the ones making the running as far as the bids are concerned. They had a £40 million bid rejected last week. They're expected to go back in with an improved offer, but they will face competition, we think, from Chelsea.
Axel Disasi.
Yeah, he's expected to have a Chelsea medical this week after the club agreed a £38.6 million deal with Monaco last weekend. Chelsea wanted to strengthen in that area, of course. Wesley Fofana suffered that ACL injury and will be out for the majority of the season.
And one more for you, Leslie Ugachukwu.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah, they finalised a deal with Rennes Chelsea worth £23.5 million for the midfielder. He's completed his medical. He's agreed personal terms on a long-term contract. So we're just waiting for a formal announcement on that. But we think that Chelsea are leaning towards bringing him to the club and then sending him out on loan straight away. He's only 19 years old to gain more first-team experience. Strasbourg is the likely destination for him.
Eyebrows were raised yesterday, Dharmesh, with Arsenal after David Raya.
Yes.
Anything on that?
We think that internal talks are continuing at Arsenal. about what their next step is going to be with regard to the potential signing of David Raya. They're expected to formalise their interest in the form of a bid. They've got a long-standing interest in this player. Brentford boss Thomas Frank over the weekend said, we'd like to get £40 million for him. I don't know whether Arsenal want to go that high, simply because Raya is in the final year of his contract and they know that Brentford have already brought in a number one goalkeeper. Arsenal, you remember, tried to sign Raya a couple of times before under Mikel Arteta, but they saw a number of offers for the goalkeeper rejected. Everyone will then ask, what happens to Aaron Ramsdale? We think Arteta wants to provide competition for Aaron Ramsdale, so they'll go into competition for that number one jersey if they get him.
Great stuff, boys. We've run out of time, sadly. Transfer show returns at 7, and Jodie Morris is joining us, so we'll talk plenty then. Let me tell you, after the break, we'll tell you the test match is hotting up. Oh boy, see you in a moment. Don't